Come on in, sit back and relax. You're listening to episode 268 of the WealthTech Today podcast. I'm your host, Craig Iskowitz, founder of Ezra Group Consulting. And this podcast features interviews, news, and analysis on the trends and best practices all around wealth management technology. My guest for this episode was Joe Mrak, CEO of Foundation Source. Now, Joe and I go way back in the industry, and Joe has got a long career in the wealth management industry and fintech in general. I'm just going to hit a couple of highlights from Joe's career, besides Foundation Source, which has been the CEO for about a year. Previously, Joe served as the global head of wealth management for Refinitiv, which is a global provider of financial markets data and infrastructure, and also a subsidiary of the London Stock Exchange. And there, Joe managed one of the company's four main business lines. Now, prior to Refinitiv, Joe was executive chairman of Solovis, an institutional investment management platform. And he also served, before that, served as the CEO of Folio Dynamics, an integrated wealth management platform that he founded in 2007 and was acquired by Envestnet. Now, earlier in his career, Joe was co-founder of Placemark Investments, one of the first providers of UMA, Unified Managed Account technology. Joe also held executive roles at CheckFree APL, which is now InvestCloud, and Bisys, which is now part of Citigroup, where he oversaw the development of end-to-end endpoint solutions that automated core financial services functions, supporting wealth and asset managers. Now, Joe and I did a little bit of reminiscing in this episode, which you'll hear, about the good old days of wealth tech, which some of you seasoned industry veterans should find interesting. Now, when you listen to this interview, you will learn answers to the following questions. One, what is Foundation Source? Two, what trends are driving the automation of philanthropy? Three, will we see more integration of philanthropy into financial planning? Four, what were the reasons behind the recent acquisition of CharityVest? And finally, what is on Foundation Source's 2025 roadmap? This is exciting. I'm going to introduce our next guest. It is Joe Mrak, CEO of Foundation Source. Joe, man, good to see you.
Yeah, great to see you.
We were just together on the other coast. We were at Tiburon.
Beautiful San Francisco. Did a little Napa weekend before that, but yeah, love it.
I wish I could have. I had to fly in and out so quick. I'd love to get some extra time, but I'm very jealous of that. Yeah, it was beautiful. We got to, of course, do a lot of networking and hear what's going on in the industry from Chip Rome. But now, and he was just on the podcast a couple weeks ago. But now it's your turn. Where are you calling in from?
I'm here in beautiful New York City. A little crisper than even San Francisco, but beautiful here right now.
Yeah, you're on the road. I'm on the road. I'm in Florida at the moment. We're just we're living out of hotel rooms.
Yeah, that's not too bad. It's not that.
It doesn't stop it. But it's not going to stop the business. Not going to stop our podcasts. So let's just jump right in. So Joe, give everyone a 30-second elevator pitch for Foundation Source.
Sure. Foundation Source. We are the easy button for corporate and private foundations. We recently acquired a firm that does planned gift administration, so charitable trusts. We have technology that powers all the charitable trusts with all the top universities in the United States. And most recently did an acquisition around donor advised funds. So I have full tech stack across all of the basically donor-based charitable giving that you can think of.
This is a big change for you. So you and I have known each other a long time, way, way, way back. Can you just give a quick little overview of your career? What kind of stops you've made that brought you to where you are now?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I've always been a tech guy, so everything I've done is tech forward. If you think back to it, Placemark Investments, they go all the way back there, but we created the UMA. I like to say that. I mean, I don't think a lot of people thought about it at the time, only because we looked at a business that we didn't understand and saw all these separate accounts and thought that just didn't seem to be very efficient.
So that's where we met, back in Placemark, where you hired us to help with your manager workstation and some new technology you were launching.
Gosh, that was a long time ago.
Oh, the aughts.
Not to age both of us, but that was like 2002.
Yeah, way back, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's funny when you think back to it. But from there, I've been a lot of places, right? I've worked with CheckFree APL as now went part of InvestCloud, which was a great business. Learned a lot
We
there.
overlap there as well. You and I overlap in a lot of places.
Yeah. And then, from there, basically created Folio Dynamics coming out of that, which
Mhm.
I knew there would needed to be more. If you, man, well, I loved APL, but it was a mainframe. I figured
Mhm.
some people would like web-based technology, so we built out a soup to nuts platform for financial advisors, full trading, rep as manager trading, everything from proposals to billing to performance reporting. That was a fun ride when went through a couple different private equity firms through that, and eventually sold it to Envestnet back in 2018.
Yep.
Spent a little time there, great firm. And then after that, I got recruited in to be one of the line CEOs for what was called Refinitiv. It's now owned by the London Stock Exchange Group, which is the old beta back office part of
Mhm.
the business. All the Thompson One terminals, all that was under my purview at that. That was actually very interesting because it was global. So really got an experience in the global marketplace for wealth tech. So fun business there. And once they sold the London Stock Exchange, helped broker the deal with Beta NXT and became a free agent. And that's when GTCR, reached out to me about Foundation Source. And again, like I didn't know the business at all. It's been around for 20 years. But the thesis was pretty simple. Like, how do we get this into the hands of more financial advisors, right? So it was a great part of my journey, honestly, even though it's very different. I think it's probably been a missing piece of the puzzle for as long as financial advisors think about their clients. It needs to be more integrated. So that was the mission that I took on.
Yeah, it's quite a career. It's quite a long time. We did overlap quite a bit, uh, which is not surprising. But coming here to Foundation Source, what was the biggest surprise you had, and what are you seeing in terms of trends around the automation of philanthropy?
Yeah, it was really interesting. I mean, like again, it was a sleepy firm that had phenomenal technology. Like I remember the first time I saw it, and actually a joke with someone from LPL that I showed it to early on, and they were like, "Joe, I think this is better than Folio Dynamics technology." I thought it was humorous. I mean, we did our best at Folio Dynamics, but it is really slick, and so it wasn't very well known. But you're also selling Ferraris, right? Not everybody's going to open up a private or a corporate foundation. And usually that user is of an older generation. Not, we get a lot of people out of Silicon Valley too, but mostly entrepreneurs or people that sold their businesses that want to open a foundation. And so I found the technology pretty intriguing in terms of what it can do. I mean, it's basically like I kind of say like the QuickBooks for foundations. I mean, you can do everything you need to do in there, right? Your expense management, it calculates all your 5% contributions you have to give out every year. So it's very thorough, very easy to use. Really got drawn by the tech. And if you think about that, I mean, the entire philanthropy industry is um, you go to a good example, you go to a silent auction, right? You sign a piece of paper, you put it down and you say, yeah, buy this for this. Whereas we can automate that, right? We can now have a mobile app where you're at that charity, you want to buy something or you want to do something, you can donate right there and then. Um, that's pretty big automation in the industry. And if you look at some of the technology and the other technology that we've acquired, like the donor advised fund business, we made that easy. I mean, literally can open an account in 2 minutes, almost like I'll put it to robo advisors when they came out and how hot that was and how interesting it was. I think it's kind of a sleepy area of the business that not a lot of people think about. But I've seen several reports where if you ask the top 10 things, if you were to pick out of these 10 items, what's most important to the family or the investor? And everybody would probably think, oh, performance, but performance was down like number six.
Mhm.
But legacy and giving back were in the top three. So, when people start thinking about that, I've seen some really interesting technology in the space too around that's going to emerge. I'm pretty sure of that, and I have my eye on one of them in the financial planning space, where you go through the financial plan, but you want part of your plan is your legacy or your giving back. So let's model that, just like you would do a Monte Carlo on how much money you're gonna have when you retire and how long you live. It's very similar to that. How do I do good? How do I be smart about it and make sure I have the money to do it? and that it follows a plan. And so there's a lot of things that go on in this space that I think a lot of people probably don't pay much attention to, and nor did I, to be honest. I mean, I've been here just a little over a year, very much. But it's been a great journey. I've learned a ton, and that probably for me, like one of the reasons I took this is I like learning something new. So you name it, I'm an expert in foundations now and donor advised funds and everything philanthropic.
Which makes sense considering you're leading a business that does
Yeah.
exactly that. So,
I
and
can't claim that. I mean, I might have known a little bit about these things, but nowhere near what I know now.
right. Well, but I think that's one of your strengths is that you have moved into different roles and been able to get up to speed pretty quickly, right? To be able to add value, right? That's not everyone can do that.
No, it's my
So,
consulting background, Greg. I mean, that's how I started my
right.
career. If you go way back,
Right.
you had to figure out things you got thrown into businesses and things you never knew anything about, and they charged you out, and you figured it out, and you added value.
Right. There you go. So talking about charitable giving and philanthropy and the automation of philanthropy, I think I saw a recent survey, this is just the beginning of this year, that three-quarters of surveyed advisors did not include philanthropy as part of their initial fact-finding with clients, despite 1 in 5 saying they saw a direct link between providing philanthropic advice and winning new business. So what do you see? Do you see that as something you're also experiencing? And how does Foundation Source help advisors win new business through philanthropy?
Well, I think it goes back to us making it the easy button, providing technology, being able to create that connection. One of the things we do with our software is it's got 3 different views depending on who you are. So if you were Morgan Stanley, you can see at the enterprise level, here's all the foundations that you have under your purview. The next level would be, I'm an advisor. I want to see all my clients. I want to see how they're giving. I want to see, have they made their contributions this year against their plan. So we have views for that. And then there's a portal view that I'm the actual foundation itself, or I'm the donor in the donor advised fund, and I want to give to XYZ charity. So bringing all that tech stack kind of together creates a ton of automation and a view into what's important to their end client, right? It creates a connection, right? The most interesting thing I found through all of this is kind of that transfer to the next generation, right? How are you going? If you look at a lot of the wealth is, older money, or people that have made money over their lives, and they involve their children. And the nice thing about our technology in terms of automation is in that portal, I create logins for the whole family, and the family can vote on a particular cause that they're going to give to, or they can, even with it was really cool, our donor advice fund platform now, you can actually do a gift card. So I can gift to my children, hey, I've got my $1 million DAF, and this year I'm going to give each of my kids a gift card to donate to where they want to donate. That's a big advancement in this
Yeah.
space. And it's really cool, and it brings families together. And I think it's like one of the best parts of actually my job is the fact that I know every day I'm building technology for bettering everything in society and families, and but that automation, that connection, that workflow is something that we spent a lot of time and dollars and investment in automating to try to bring it all under one umbrella. And by this time next year or earlier, actually we're bringing the whole donor advised fund and a foundation componentry all under one umbrella through our technology. We were lucky when we made the acquisition that the tech stack really matched up. So that'll be really, really cool. I think I get excited about it.
So, and you should. So can you explain again what you're merging? You're merging the donor advised fund technology with which other technology?
Correct. So if it's interesting. I would say 45 to 50% of my clients that have a private or corporate foundation also have a donor advised fund.
Right. So the corporate foundation and donor advised fund, that's what you're merging under one umbrella.
Correct. All in one view, because they typically have both. Like if you were a foundation and you wanted to anonymously give, you can't. You have to use your donor advised fund to anonymously give. If you didn't get to your 5% regulatory contribution out of your foundation per year, what do? You move it to your donor advised fund. That's actually a way that you can contribute to that. So being able to automate, put that all into the one view, one purview for either the client, the advisor, or the enterprise is something that we've taken on, and it's very exciting. The other thing we can do too is that we can enable, let's say you're an RIA and you have several wealthy clients and you want to help them with donor advised funds. Well, what's your alternatives? The big behemoths of Fidelity, Schwab, Vanguard, great options. But let's say I work for XYZ RIA and I want to have my own donor advised fund platform, with my brand. And I want to be able to control the assets. Like if you put it over to Fidelity, not always true the case, but they're going to liquidate it and put it in Fidelity funds. But let's say I wanted to take part of my client's portfolio because he wanted to provide charitable gifts. I can now, as an RIA, I private label that. My logo's in the corner. It's my RIA XYZ's DAF. And we can literally do this in like a day, not even, like faster than that. And then they have that ability to work with their clients, still be able to manage the assets, still be able to make money off of it. Same thing for the foundations, for that matter. But that's technology this market has never seen. It's all new, and it's, like I said, we're getting good traction with it. Most RIAs, especially with ultra high net worth or high net worth client bases, are very interested in that.
According to a recent survey of 400 affluent investors, 87% expressed a desire to make a meaningful impact through charitable activities. However, only 6% reported receiving charitable planning advice from their advisors. So that's a huge, huge gap that needs to be filled.
It's massive. It was just funny when I first even was talking with GTCR about foundation stores. I was like, wow, I realize now, after digging into the business itself, like how it's just not part of the conversation. And I think the next bridge, so to say, will be getting this into that estate and financial planning software, right? I would love anybody that wants to partner up with us on that. I think it's a very important piece. It's like I said, it's almost like making the Monte Carlo you would make for, your retirement, and how you're going to make sure you have enough money for your goals, right? It's not dissimilar to how am I going to give back, and how is that? What does that flow look like? How much of that am I going to give to my next generation, right? So, in building my legacy. So I think it's an area of massive opportunity, and totally agree with those stats. And it's it almost seems silly to me now that it didn't happen earlier, but we're part of that, and want to be a part of that movement and part of that conversation. I always say, one of the interesting things, I always say, our biggest competition in our marketplace is education. We are on a very big, we do a lot of free webinars. We have so many papers on our website just to educate people about, why would you do a corporate foundation, or why would you do a private foundation? Why would you do a donor advised fund? Why would you do planned giving? Why would you do a charitable trust? What's the difference between them all? And there's a lot there, and it can be slightly complicated. Again, we just try to make it easy. That's probably been part of my career, is just, how do I make difficult things easy? And that's part of our mission.
When it comes to this kind of technology and the ability to bring in the next generation, that's something that a lot of advisors struggle with. Many advisors, some large percentage, I can't remember, it was 80% of advisors lose the business when the primary client passes away and it goes to the children. They often go to their own advisor. So this seems like it's ready-made. This kind of technology is ready-made for bringing in the next generation and building a relationship with them.
Absolutely. We just did a big mobile release, because we know that next generation is either on an iPad or a phone, and that's the way they're going to give. And if we make that easy for them, then they're willing participants, and they're probably unlikely, if they're comfortable with however they're doing it, they're going to go to that app, because that's a great way for them to give, whether they're in the moment. One of the other pieces that's pretty interesting tech too, that we have through the acquisition, is workplace giving. Okay. So I'm a corporate foundation. I can set up a program very similar to 401k. I could either do a matching program. I could do a program where, I say, well, every year I'm going to give you $200. It's going to go into your donor advised fund for workplace giving, through your company. And it's a great way to get, even, again, one, broaden the landscape of philanthropy. The foundation itself at the corporation would wants to give that money, but why not give the power to the actual employees?
Hmm.
And that's a great way to engage the next generation, right? Because they probably don't even think about that stuff.
And it also gets employees involved. They feel like they're contributing in some respect to the charities that they find important. So it helps both the company and the employees.
Totally. And I can guarantee you it's a very diverse giving, right? I mean,
Mhm.
everybody's got different causes that they're passionate about.
Yeah, and every company wants to do some sort of charitable donation. So why not allow the employees to have direct um, input into where that money goes?
Yeah, I love the concept. I mean, I was just like when again when I've been learning, right, and I learned about those concepts, and there's several firms that focus just purely on that,
Mhm.
and it's definitely a growing marketplace, and a great benefit for companies to offer to their employees.
Yeah, do you do also support matching programs?
Yeah, we do. I mean, that's part of it. Like obviously you want people to contribute. It's sort of like it's just like your 401k. It's the same basic. I think when I walked into this space, I thought, wow, because there's a lot of sub accounting going on in donor advised funds, right?
Mhm.
It's usually an omnibus account. It doesn't have to be, but it usually is because it's actually when you donate when you go to a donor advised fund, you're actually giving the money to the charity, right?
Right.
There's
That's something
charity.
people should realize that it's permanent. Once you donate the money to the deaf, it's gone. You can't get it back. Right.
And furthermore, they have to approve. You can say, hey, I want to give $20 to XYZ. They still have to approve that. Like
Mhm.
that, you even though you said you wanted to give $20 here, it doesn't mean that they have to do it.
Right.
So that's the power of a foundation, though. Like in that foundation, no, not really the case unless you're breaking a law or doing
Mhm.
something silly. And there's all sorts of interesting things even amongst foundations that I've learned. If you want to give overseas, you have a lot more liberty to do that. You can also do things like through fiscal sponsorships to actually make venture investments and loans and capture dollars back, but they have to be impactful, right? They have to have some sort of mission to them that are
Right.
obviously a charity would have. So there's tons of very interesting things that go on um, in the um, in the charitable space.
Yeah, it's a whole new world. I wanted to talk about another acquisition you made, which you briefly mentioned. Foundation Source acquired Venfi, the fintech powering donor advised fund Charity Vest. Can you explain the difference between Venfi and Charity Vest, and what was it about their technology that attracted you to make this acquisition?
Yeah, so very excited to have done this acquisition. Great team. Charity Vest is the actual 501(c), which is it's a charity, right? It's a public charity. So what you do is when you go through the Venfi software, but it can either be branded for, like I said, the RIA or an enterprise, or it has Charity Vest, direct to their own clients, like a direct to consumer. You use that technology and literally what I was blown away with how simple they made it, right? Because some of the stuff, my education is my biggest competition. A lot of people don't even know what a donor advised fund is, right? And it's a great way to give. Honestly, right, wrong, or indifferent. All these are tax strategies too, right? So if you go back to that financial planning, but what I loved about what they did was they made it so simple and friendly, and it didn't matter. You could put $5 in the thing. So I love that part of the technology, literally from sign up to donation. Like I said, I could do it in 2 minutes. I was showing somebody the other day how quick and easy it was. I love the gift card option that they have, right? Very cool. Like you can give gift cards to your kids every year. You could give it to your friends. You can give it to wherever you want.
Well, yeah,
Uh,
explain it. You told me about this when we were at Tiburon, and I was amazed. What does that mean? Are you giving out a gift card? How does this work?
electronic gift card, we'll put it that way, right? So if I say, okay, I'm going to send this to you, you get an electronic invitation to go into the Charity Vest. We'll just use Charity Vest portal, and from there you will now see your $10, whatever it is, right? And then you can go give that to whatever charity. We have a database of, I mean, this is public information that we pull in, all the different charities that are approved in the United States, and you pick one, and boom, you're done, and you've taken your card and your electronic card, and you've been able to make that donation. So it's a very slick piece of technology. And then the other piece that we acquired through that was very early on, they also had the workplace giving functionality. So our ability to do the workplace giving enablement, it's interesting, and I think it'll be very interesting to our um, corporate clients, corporate foundation clients.
Can you merge that with corporate wellness is a big trend we're seeing where a lot of companies are building out light financial planning tools that corporations can put into their portals for employees to do their financial planning or to do recommending to their investing in their retirement savings. Can you plug into that?
Yeah, I know. It's interesting. A good question for the guys that sit in the tech room every day. I don't see why we wouldn't be able to. I mean, it's very similar tech and connectivity that would happen there. But it certainly just has a wellness effect to the fact that you can give back, right?
Mhm.
So it
Oh
makes
yeah.
you good.
And it's just part of the overall effect. Like if I'm a corporation, I'd want everything in one place.
Yeah, totally,
401k, my wellness, my financial planning, education for employees, and my giving.
totally love it. I mean, it is really the future.
Mhm. What about the other acquisition you made of PG Calc?
Oh, PG Calc is the leading provider of planned gifts. So it's something you probably don't think a lot about, right? So the technology enables if so I'm a University of Texas MBA grad, right? And if I want to give back to the University of Texas and I go onto their website and I say I want to give a gift, right? It walks you through a series of questions, almost like a financial plan, right? Well, how do you want to give back your gift? Do you want to give it back while you're living? Do you want to give it back after when you pass? What is it? And they can set those gifts up through our technology, and then we administer them. So I think we work with our top 50 universities. I'm pretty sure I know we have some of the biggest names like Harvard. Actually, the business was started out of Harvard with a Harvard grad who kind of built the technology out. Gary, he's a great guy. So that's the core of that business, and you can set up charitable. Through that, you're basically setting up trusts or gifts. There's multiple varieties of that. We also have some software that does endowment sub-accounting, which is really exciting. But we work with a lot of big enterprises to provide that service. So we either sell it to charitable like universities, or we sell it to enterprises. We have some very large enterprise clients that we provide that for.
Endowment sub-accounting, not sexy, but
No,
required. Must be done.
somebody's got to do it. Yeah.
Why not you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because generally too, we'll have the planned gift admin business as well with them. So it
Mhm.
kind of goes side by side.
It goes side by side. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're really building a powerhouse and doing what many entrepreneurs have done in different industries, which is take a fragmented segment and build something that can manage it better.
I mean, a big part of it too is changing the go-to-market strategy. I mean, basically, early on for a foundation, you would have had to Google, "Hey, I want to open a foundation," and maybe it directs you to us, or we get something through a trusted advisor channel, but not necessarily on their desktop, and they would introduce us to a client. Uh, knowing our reputation was really good, but we've shifted that model. Not only we obviously do that still, but to an enterprise model. We recently signed a big bank and looking to sign a few more, where we'll be their kind of white gloved outsourced provider of technology to those organizations to make their foundation business easier and more streamlined. So that's been a little bit shift of the model here for us, and of course, I don't think we're going to stop doing M&A. I mean, I think to your point, it's a fragmented business. There's a lot of little mom and pop, great tech, right? Great tech, great businesses. How do we bring those together, create some efficiency, apply the best of breed technology to deliver solutions to the philanthropic space is, big part of why I'm here.
Joe, you've said it all. I really appreciate you being here. Can you tell everyone listening where they can learn more about Foundation Source?
Well, it's pretty. We've got foundationsource.com, all one word there, right? Foundationsource.com. Tons of information, tons. You can always find me. I'm on there. I think it clicks off to my LinkedIn profile, so you can find me. And I'm just J Mrak at foundationsource.com. So feel free to reach out anytime. When we also have the Charity Vest website that is the direct-to-consumer charity that we technically enable. And we can talk to you about any one of these topics. We love to do it. We provide free legal advice and thoughts on how to get into the space, and just we've got a great team here to help.
Awesome, Joe. Thank you so much for being here. Good to see you.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Before we begin, a couple of quick housekeeping tasks. Please subscribe to this show wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss an episode. Check out our sponsors, the Invest in Others Charitable Foundation, which you can find at investinothers.org. Now, let's kick this thing off. Hey, it's Craig again. Here are my top 3 takeaways from this episode. We learned about the Foundation Source overview, that they provide technology and services for corporate and private foundations. We heard a bit about the automation of philanthropy, how it makes it easy to open accounts, donations, and the management of charitable funds. We heard about integrating philanthropy into financial planning and how 87% of affluent investors want to make an impact through charity, but only 6% receive any charitable planning advice. Joe was kind enough to share a bit about their acquisition of VenFi and CharityVest, and how they can provide now white labeling by IRAs and other wealth management firms to allow them to deliver these donor advised fund platforms. And finally, we heard about some of the roadmap that's coming down the line for the company Foundation Source and their clients, and some very interesting stuff. So that's about the end of this episode. Thanks for listening. But before you go, please head to our website, ezragroup.com, scroll to the bottom of the homepage, and sign up for our newsletter. Once a month, you'll receive an email chock full of wealth management goodness, news, information, and updates. You won't be disappointed. Thanks again for listening, and talk to you all again next time.